Good morning to you. God bless you. Very early on Monday morning. I want to bring you a word today, and that word is to do with Abraham and Isaac. And we read this in Genesis, verse 22. God has promised Abraham that he will have descendants as numerous as the stars. Isaac is the promised son that God would give to Abraham. And it says in Genesis 22 and verse 1, after these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. And he said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, go to the land of Moriah and offer there a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took his son Isaac, and he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and rose, and went to the place which God had told him. On the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took the fire in the hand and took the fire and the knife. So they both went them together. And he said to his father Abraham, My father, he said. Here I am, my son, he said. Behold the fire and the wood. Where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went, both of them together. When they came to the place which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on top of the altar, on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand, and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy, or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes, and behold, behind him was a ram, caught in a thicket by his thorns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of that place, The Lord will provide. As it is said to this day, On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Isaac was the long-awaited son. Abraham had waited years for Isaac to come along. And when he had him, Isaac then grows up. Abraham loves Isaac, as you'd expect any father to a son. And then God calls him to make an offering of his son. Abraham doesn't hesitate, although his heart must have broken. And he must have wondered, how on earth am I going to fulfill the requirements of God, the promises that God has given to me when he has said that I will have descendants as numerous as the stars. But then God provides. It is God testing Abraham to see whether or not he will make a sacrifice of everything that God has given to him. You know, God calls us to make sacrifices of what he has given to us. Our time, our money, our resources, our energy, and we have choices that we must make. We have choices that we must make every day of how we're going to use our time and our resources. But God calls us to make an offering of those. Why? It's a testing of faith. If I simply give the first portion of my day to the Lord in prayer and in Bible reading, do I trust that I'm going to be able to do everything else in the day? Or do I look at the day and say, there are not enough hours for me to do it today? There was somebody very famous who said, I've got so much done today, I need to spend the first 4 hours in prayer. Because they trusted in God. They knew that God was able to help them, so long as they were humble enough to come to him and ask. I have a choice. I have a choice whether or not to do this video instead of doing Bible reading. And some of those times, time is so short that I must choose. Do I do a video or do I read my Bible? And guess what? I do the video because I trust in God. I have faith in him, that he will use this word in your life, that he will use the word in my life. Don't forget, I'm also reading. I'm also teaching myself as I'm teaching you. So I want to encourage you, by faith, give time to God. Give to God of your money, your resources, sacrificially. And it doesn't, because sometimes sacrificially is painful, it's difficult. That's why God always asked for the first fruits, the firstborn, because those were the things that were deemed most important, that held on as precious because they've been waited for. But we need to give those to God sacrificially, so that God will then use the rest of it by faith. That we will have enough time in our day if we stop and we pray and we read. We will have enough time in our day because God will make more out of what is left. God bless you. I pray for you to have a wonderful day today. God bless you.